Hey folks, what's flocking? I hope you are doing well. So, this topic I'm going to talk about is pretty different from the usual internet drama I always talk about, but it's pretty dramatic right here, don't get me wrong. When I first saw this unfold before my eyes, I thought this was the opera. Just kidding, operas don't exist anymore. Maybe they do, I don't know. But today's topic has to do with my favorite video game of all time, World of Warcraft. Ah, yes, the big money gating game that wastes more time than it does giving back. I love WoW so much, but it hates me and just never lets me enjoy the game, I swear to God. There's one thing, though, I can't deny about World of Warcraft. I said it before in the last commentary video I made about a similar situation last year. There is a cesspool of so many toxic and deplorable players in the game. Anytime you want to enjoy the game, there are certain people on it that just make it so infuriating. The squeakers in M Plus or PvP that complain about your playstyle, how the queue is going, literally about anything. There's also the bots, the elitists that think that they know everything about the game, and sometimes the RPers that want to have virtual sex with you for gold. If you don't believe that last part, search up Moonguard NA and you'll see what I mean. But this one in particular has to do with the M Plus community. If you don't know what M Plus is, basically it's PvE dungeons. You're walking a path with a bunch of enemies in your way and you have to kill them all to proceed to the boss. Then do the exact same thing of walking around, killing enemies, and then the boss for about 3 to 4 times until you reach the end boss, and then finish the dungeon by getting some gear. Or you might get gear from the previous bosses depending on what difficulty you are playing. There's like 4 difficulties when it comes to dungeons. There's normal, which is like the easiest one out of all of them. Heroic, which is a little more challenging. There's like new or different mechanics with the enemies and the bosses that people might not be familiar with on the first try when they do normal. And then there's Mythic, which is supposed to sound like the hardest dungeon difficulty there is. But then there is Mythic Plus. It's difficult like Mythic mode, but it has more challenges. The enemies deal more damage, and they have increased health or hit points. And there are obstacles in the way, which we call affixes, that disrupt the usual motion of killing enemies with a certain way. Oh yes, boys, this is the one. It's a guild breaker and a ticking time bomb for the players with a short temper fuse. So what does M Plus have to do with anything here? Well, I saw this clip yesterday that relates to both M Plus and social media drama in a way. And it's pretty interesting to me because it's rare when I see internet drama occur when it happens around my favorite game. So let's say this is a passion project. I've taken real heart into this one. Alright, enough rambling. What goes on here? Well, it involves a group of M Plus runners and raiders from the guild slash esports team named Liquid, which is like a subdivision of the esports brand Team Liquid. It's like a spin-off, so to speak. It used to be known as Limit to everyone before that, but the guild leader, Max, and the whole guild at that point got signed on to be Team Liquid's little World of Warcraft guild under the new alias. So the M Plus group here are doing a run in Warcraft Manor, which is the season's dungeon map pool. It's like a dungeon from BFA from 2 expansions ago, because I guess Blizzard forgot that Dragonflight dungeons in this current X-Pack exist as current content. But that's not for me to assume. They're doing this on a 30 plus mythic level because being in Liquid, like the biggest esports brand of this generation, they have to keep it at a professional level in this type of game track because the M Plus community is massive. They have like esports event for it and everything. Anyways, they're doing Waycrest on 30 plus. They're doing the dungeon and then they get to the enemies on to the third boss, which is like a big fat fucking pig monster. I'm not kidding. That's how Blizzard made this dungeon. They get to the part where you have to kill the maggots and the butler in this cramped hallway area to proceed on with the Evertrash and eventually the third pig boss. But you have to kick and CC the enemies at all time in this level, because they have abilities that instantly kill you in some cases. When the enemies use their same abilities in normal difficulty dungeons, you might feel a draft or nothing at all. It's fairly average. That's why it's called normal difficulty to begin with. But in Mythic Plus 30, where their damage is increased by a lot, and they might be under the affixes of say, raging or bolstering, they will one-shot you even if you have a defensive cooldown up. So the Liquid M Plus group, they're killing the enemies, and they take turns on who's going to use the CC and who's going to use the interrupts. But how the rotating the CCs and interrupts was done, it was too much for the tank here, I guess. He got so angry and decided to maul. I'll show you what I mean here, man.
Hopeful. On your healing meter? In. Maggots.
No.
Don't pull 70 of them.
Hopefully, you're you're not supposed to be Oh,
wow,
wow. What?
Dude, you
focus up.
He keeps overlapping me.
Grab.
You didn't say anything.
Yeah, you didn't say. You just walked in.
No, I said I stunned.
You said you stunned as they were casting, bro.
I just
No,
popped every
it's always me stunned first. Okay, I'm muting for the rest of the run.
Potion.
He's nonverbal.
Don't go nonverbal.
No,
I'm
please.
muting for the rest
Stay
of the run.
verbal.
Please.
I hate playing with this healer sometimes. When I say sometimes, I mean a lot of the time.
All the time.
Oh my god.
Potion.
So yeah, the tank was very frustrated that the pull didn't go the way he wanted it to go. The scenario that plays out from the healer's POV, the tank goes in with his AoE stun to make sure the maggots don't cast that one-shot ability. Then the healer Monk follows up with an AoE stun of his own, like a millisecond after the tank cast, and the trash pack that was stunned, they just overlapped it. You see, when you stun an enemy in the game, they are stunned for the whole duration of the ability you use to stun them with, but after that, the time the enemy is allowed to be stunned is diminished by half. That's why the healer stun didn't last long as the tanks, because the enemies were on DR. Just want to put this out there in case you didn't know how this works. Then after the overlap of the stun, because the tank didn't call it out for his team, they now gotta worry about overlapping the DR, the enemies, to make sure that the casts don't go off from the maggots. And the team told the tank about it too. He didn't say a word when he was gonna do the stun. All he said before the pull was, maggots. Like, was that all the team was supposed to go by to be aware that he's gonna use his stun? The priority here is to kill the trash and kick and CC the abilities at the right time, I get it. But where's the heads up, you know? Say if these guys didn't have their regular pro M plus runners and they had to pug with one guy that doesn't know what the pro strategy is when stunning the mobs. What do you do then? For the tank, I guess it's to maul, then mute the mic, because the plan didn't go the way he wanted it to go. What gets me the most is that they didn't have a problem with that certain trash pull. No one died. They used defensives. I think the mage used alter time there at that point. It went well for the most part. I don't know why the tank had to be so butthurt because one stun overlapped, yet it didn't fuck up the pull with the maggots in any way. And this tank, this nerf guy who's the tank, he follows his own word and mutes everyone in the group chat or Discord or whatever. And after the maggot pull, they seem to struggle a little more thanks to the lack of nerf's communication. It really pisses off his teammates, and I can see why.
What, nerf? Stop being a fucking idiot, bro. Like, you're such a dude. There's no way you proc cheat on a trash pull and mute your mic for the rest of the whole fucking day.
Okay, so this nerf tank guy screws up more than once, it seems. Apparently, he procced his cheat death ability with his tank kit during either that maggot pull or one of the pulls before that, and this James guy, or JPC as he goes by, the outlaw rogue, He seems more pissed off with Nerf's attitude more than anyone. I just want to put this in here. While this Nerf tank guy does sound and act pretty cringe for this, don't go witch hunting him or anyone else here. I don't support any harassment made towards these kinds of people. I'm just observing the situation. Please use your common sense. Anyways, James just comes out here to state the fact. Nerf Tank made some fuck-ups with the unnecessary amount of maggots pulled in that pack and the cheat def proc that happened. I don't know what happened with the cheat def, but I think it's what caused the majorities of the defs and the time wasted on this run before the maggot pull. And to top it off, Nerf mutes his mic because he got so butthurt with how the maggot pull didn't go the way he wanted it to go, with the stun overlapping and whatever else. Like, imagine if this was a pug group with a bunch of strangers that just want to push the level of their key. They would disband very, very quickly if they saw this mentality happen in their Keystone run. That would be a Keystone level lost because someone decided to get butthurt over something that they were at fault for. In this case, it's on Nerf Tank for this one, even though the pull was fairly well played.
Nerf turns his mic on.
What did I do that pissed Nerf on? Was it the cheat or was it like overlapping?
I don't. He's just being a drama queen.
The stun?
Let's go verbal.
There is nothing a strong arm and a sharp steel can't
I just heard James freak out because we pulled a lot of maggots, so that's why I swept. Like, we pulled a lot of maggots and I didn't hear any CC, so I just
He was already
pressed
muted
sweep.
before then, I think.
No.
I have no idea. I've never played with anyone that's ever done anything like this, so I'm not sure. I don't know, but if he doesn't turn his mic back on, I'm probably done playing forever. Unless, like, I mean, I don't know. This is just, like, actually insanely cringe. I've never seen anybody do this, ever. You give someone the silent treatment or something for overlapping a sweep. Like, that is actually insane. You're, like, fucking 30-something years old. If you need to, like, cool down or whatever, just, like, take a break, that's fine. But, like, just muting your mic is like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Ooh, James is pissed.
Jesus, the frustration in James's voice. The healer is right, man. James is fucking pissed after that embarrassing moment with Nerf. And I actually understand his frustrations. He just wants to run the M+ dungeon with his teammates to help get the job done. He's on top of the M+ mountain that only the 1% of M+ runners that can actually time their dungeon run. They have to be serious about this. Like, you can fuck around in like +2 or +3. They're like for low-level rookies for the most part. But anything over 25 or 30, that's the pro leagues right there. You need to have very peak coordination for these kinds of dungeon runs. And lack thereof for this 30+ Waycrest dungeon run? I'm surprised how they got to time the dungeon without it being depleted. Even then, this could have been less of a stressful scenario if Nerf had just stopped being so stubborn and used his mic to coordinate with his teammates. The part that gets me the most is that James said if Nerf keeps acting like this, with keeping the mic muted and everything, he's done playing the game forever. I'm going to be honest here. I'm somewhat of a fan of JPC's content and streams. I watched him during the Race to World First this expansion, and his M+ runs during Shadowlands and Season 1 and 2 of Dragonflight. This guy pops off every time he goes on the Twitch. He's the perfect prime example of a WoW content creator that loves the community, the M+ rating community. If this guy were to quit the game because Nerf Tank got so butthurt that he muted his mic for the entire time while he's with his professional esports M+ team, I would actually lose my shit. It's like what James said. It's crazy. It's insanely cringe. This whole bad vibe could have just been avoided if Nerf Tank wasn't so butthurt over one overlap that he had to give his own teammates the silent treatment. Again, it's like what James said. If you're that frustrated, just take a break. Take the time to collect yourself, because Being in an M Plus Pro League, or any esports pro league for that matter, it's hard work and it's mind straining. You need to be up and on your level. And you need to be professional in the way you act, because what Nerf Tank did,
Okay, I'm muting for the rest of the run.
that's a big disappointment for Max and the Liquid Guild and the higher ups at Team Liquid, for all that matters. I don't know what happened after this whole baloney. Maybe Nerf Tank and the group made up, or they didn't. It would be so insane, though, if James quit WoW for good because Nerf Tank got butthurt and toxic and decided to disrespect his own teammates. Nerf is like the embodiment of how WoW players can act in a bad way. No matter how much you know about the game, or what level you are on in whichever game mode, you can still come off as a dickhead no matter what your real intent is. If Nerf keeps acting the way he did in this little show, then he might actually need a break or a suspension from this game. Maybe even be replaced by a new tank that actually doesn't blame his fuck-ups on the teammates and mutes everyone out of spite. Because this isn't a good way to be seen as part of a guild / esports brand called Liquid. And I hope James doesn't quit because of this situation. I'll get personal here, guys. He's like one of my favorite WoW content makers, right next to Asmongold and Peekaboo. He plays Rogue, and I like to play Rogue too. I sometimes main it. For the most part, I hope this drama doesn't expand into the M Plus group being disbanded forever because of this baloney. Honestly, they should just replace Nerf Tank if he keeps acting like a toxic and whiny little boy. And they say he's 30 years old? That's even more embarrassing, not gonna lie. That's all from me today. If you stay to the end of this, I really appreciate it. I put so much time into this one. I just saw WoW and internet drama in all of this, and I just really want to give my take on this. Like I said earlier, it's a passion project. And if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe for more videos. And let's get on the road to 1K subs. I can already feel the monetization already. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Good night.